I think for me, because I was an immigrant, because I had bad grades, my whole life I was losing, that by the time I was a grown-up, losing and fear didn't mean anything to me. So I got lucky in so much adversity as a child. I think if you haven't had that, or even if you had that, you still fear it because of the way your parents judged, you have to practice. It's, like you have to practice doing things that you are scared of. It's very true. It's like, when people talk to me about fear, it feels so heavy. I'm like, it's like swimming or kissing a boy. You were scared of that when you were young until you did it, and then you were, or talking to me, right? But then practice gets you there. So you have to practice things that feel scary, and then you'll get more used to them. It's the truth. It's just the truth.
The number one thing you can do for your confidence is to do scary things. When you come up against something that's scary, that's difficult, that's hard, and you don't do them, you're telling yourself that you can't and that you suck. You're teaching yourself with every inaction that you're the kind of person who plays small. You need to flip that thinking. It's scary, you do it. It's scary, you're jumping, because you do scary things. So I was talking to Alex this morning on my team. Alex helps me run Toronto Dance Salsa, Canada's largest salsa dancing business, maybe North America's. We need to figure out that number actually somehow. Businesses are private, it's hard to figure it out. But anyway, I'm talking to Alex this morning, and he, as part of his daily challenge, is doing Omegle videos. So Omegle, if you don't know Omegle, is a platform where you can chat with strangers. And his goal is to connect with people around the world and get better at coaching, motivating, inspiring, helping them feel his who, which is belong. And so he does this every morning. You press a button and you just get paired via video with some random stranger based off of certain interests. And so he had some guy on today, and he said, Evan, you need to hire this guy for your business. He was so great. He's got such a big heart. His one word is love. His who is love. You need to hire him. I said, well, why don't you hire him? Why don't you bring him into TDS? Why don't you recruit him? And he said, you're right. And I need to not be scared. And he's putting this pressure on himself to not be scared. I said, no, it's not that you need to not be scared. If you're not scared, it's because you're living a life so small that you're just photocopying the same day over and over and over again. You want to be scared. If you have things that make you scared, it means you're growing, you're learning, you're getting better. If there's nothing in your calendar that makes you scared in the next month, you hate your life. That's actually most people. Most people don't have anything in their calendar that is scary, and they look at their calendar ahead and they hate their life. They're bored. They're photocopying the same day over and over again. You don't want that. So the goal isn't to not be scared, because that means you're playing small. The goal is to find things that are scary and then to teach yourself that you do them. And so he reached out and said, okay, you're right, I'm going to reach out. So he reached out to them, and we'll see. That was just today. See what happens. We had another example where the security guard in my building here is just one of the most loving, warm people that you're ever going to meet. I've seen a lot of security guards, I guess, over the years of being in hotels, living in hotels, and being here. And there aren't that many people who are as friendly as she is. You walk in and she's warm and she's kind and she's waving hello and she's asking how you are. And even if you've never met her before, she's still giving you basically a hug from afar. And I told Alex, you need to recruit this person. You need to come over here and you need to recruit this person. And so he eventually drove over here, over to my place, and he was scared. It took him half an hour or so before driving because he wasn't sure what he was going to say. Like, how do you come over and say, hey, I want you to join my salsa dance school. I think you'd be a good instructor. Super random and creepy, right? So eventually he did it. And he had a conversation, and Alex used to be a security guard, and she's a security guard, and he wanted to be a cop, and she apparently wants to be a cop. And anyway, they got to talking, and he said, hey, I want to teach you how to be an instructor. Are you interested to have the impact that you want to have? And she said yes, and they just started their training. But again, it's a case of doing scary things. That's not typically how we would recruit an instructor. But when you find an opportunity and you get this idea, especially for entrepreneurs, you get this idea in your head that you want to do it. The fact that you want to do it and it's different, it means that it's going to be scary. Your big dreams, your big goals, the impact that you want to have is all on the other side of scary. And the worst thing you can do is teach yourself that when you hit something scary, you play small, because that becomes a pattern that then becomes hard to break. Because every time you do it, you're teaching yourself, I play small, I play small, I'm too scared, I can't do it, I play small, I play small. That's the record that then loops. You need to break that record. You need to snap that record in half and replace it with the I do scary things, because everything you want, Everything you want in life is on the other side of you saying yes and doing scary things. Okay, so how do we do scary things? How do we summon the courage that we need to lean into the difficult things? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is scary, difficult, or hard. These are the triggers that I use for myself. It's so hard to actually figure out when you're making the mistake. We're so good at finding really logical excuses and reasons, let's call them reasons because they're not excuses, right? We're so good at finding really logical reasons why we shouldn't do something, but really you're just afraid. You wouldn't believe a really stupid reason. So you're gonna find a really smart reason why you won't do it, but really you're just afraid. And so trigger words for me are scary, difficult, or hard. If I ever say scary, difficult, or hard, if my wife, my son, my friends, the people around me, my team ever hear me say, right, they can't hear me think, but when I think it, scary, difficult, or hard, they call me out. I try to call myself out too to say, now I have to do it. Because scary, difficult, or hard are no longer good enough reasons. Again, as long as it's not going against your core values, you're not hurting somebody, you're not doing something stupid, right? Most of the things that are scary, difficult, or hard for you are really just, at the end of the day, somebody else's opinion. You're not worried about failing, you're worried about failing in front of somebody else. And that is not a good enough reason for you not to take action. So when you hear, write, or say scary, difficult, or hard, that means it's go time. You run in, you jump towards, let's move. Step number 2 is the boom, boom, boom test. And that's your heart going boom, 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 boom. So scary, difficult, or hard are our thoughts, our language. Boom, boom, boom test is physical. When you're feeling your heart going boom, 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 that means you're scared. It's the same thing. It's just a physical version of it instead of you actually vocalizing or thinking it. And so same reaction. When you feel your heart going like this, when you can catch it, you may not always catch it, that's okay. But when you catch it, what do you do? Because when you catch yourself feeling scared, do you again find a logical reason why you can't do it and force yourself to play small? Or do you say, ooh, I'm feeling it, it's go time, right? Again, you want to teach yourself, scary, difficult, or hard, or your heart's going boom, 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 go time. We do it, we jump in, we move forwards, we demand action. And then step number 3 is tie your self-worth to the effort, not the result. This is another big mindset shift that if you can make, it will change your life. Most people tie their self-worth to the result, to winning, to getting a certain outcome. If you do that, if that's how you base your self-worth, right? I only get my confidence, my pride, my self-love when I get a certain result. You're only gonna play small for life because you're only gonna take on the projects where you know you're gonna get a result in. So you play small for life. Where most successful people, they don't know they're gonna get a result. They're trying a whole bunch of new stuff all the time. They're constantly failing, but they don't tie their self-worth to winning. They tie their self-worth to the effort. If you tie your self-worth to the effort, most days you'll wake up and you may not win. You may not get the result you're looking for. But overall, you're gonna accomplish way more things than a person who ties their self-worth only to winning. So learn, practice, pat yourself on the back for when you tried your hardest. You tried your hardest to make your first YouTube video. It sucked. Who cares about the results? Nobody liked it. It only had 1 comment and it says, you suck. Great. You pat yourself on the back, say, I did my best. I did my best. I'm gonna wake up and tomorrow I'm gonna do it again. If you did that every day, your life will change. The impact that you wanna make will come true. You'll be able to build the actual business and life that you deserve, that your family deserves, that the people around you deserve. Can you tell I'm excited about this, guys? You have to learn to tie your self-worth to your effort and not the results that you're getting. Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
The way I do branding, I sell so infrequently that I think some of you that are watching me the hardest core need to hear this, which is it's okay to sell, especially if you believe in something. Like if you believe in what you're selling, and that's what I'm spending a lot of time on now, trying to spend more time on really getting to a place where I really believe in stuff. Instead I was just passive, not creating. So I wasn't selling because I didn't believe, and just letting everything come to me. But as I create these, events, Vayner Experience, a lot of events, very big on events. Events are so valuable. Just watching the 4Ds crew, its value and like how it's impacting their business for $10,000 right there. I mean, you see, I know you're getting emails. The wine club, like $150 worth of wine for 55 bucks. Like I've just locked in November's. It's gonna make all your Thanksgivings ridiculous. The conference, $500 2-hour session in my stomping grounds. Good deal compared to like other conferences that I speak at, but you're getting the wine for free, or you're getting the talk for free and you're getting the wine. So like, I'm very fascinated because I'm putting more pressure on myself to create things that I really believe in, which then allows me to sell more. And I just think for a lot of you, selling, the ask, the right hook is very difficult. You're passive, you like the idea of like feeling good about like giving out content, this and that. When you believe in something, you can sell it, and you should put more pressure on yourself to create things that you believe in. Biggest problem is so many of you sell you don't believe in. You're just doing it for the money. You're gonna lose. And that I don't like. I think when I get the praise, it's what does that have to do with me? When I get on, I'm like, that's on me, and I'll fix it. And I think those, I said it really quick, but it's accountability. It's accountability and ownership when you suck, and it's passing on the credit when you rule. And that's it. And that's me, and that's my makeup, and that's why I'm winning in life, and that's why I'm always gonna win. Because when you're 100% accountable, and you know you're garbage, when you're 100% accountable, when there's an issue, and when you pass on the praise when you're getting it, you become fundamentally undefeated, unbeatable. I'm straight up unbeatable because my head will never get gassed up enough, ever, when I'm getting it good, and I'll never believe it's me. And when it's bad, I'll never point the finger to anybody else. All you finger pointers pointing everywhere. Everybody's pointing fingers, pointing them everywhere. It's everybody's fault but yourself. Your country, your environment, your parents, school system, your boss, your aunt, circumstance, and of course, there's tragedies and crimes and child abuse and real bad stuff. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying for the 95% of you, it's a mindset thing. Perspective. Perspective is everything. I'm grounded in my perspective. Never too high, never too low. It's about them when it's good. It's about me when it's bad. That's me. That's what I got for you. That's where I'm at. That's my mindset. And I never waver. It's 100%. Never waver. I have my bad days. And I keep that to myself. So let me just talk to you guys about why Toys R Us filing Chapter 11 matters. Toys R Us did two things over the last couple decades that make no sense. One, very early in the 2000s, they outsourced themselves to Amazon. They didn't believe in the internet 17 years ago, so they let Amazon do their fulfillment, which started people getting used to buying toys on the internet through an Amazon world. But most importantly, they just didn't innovate. And when you don't innovate, you die. Like you could have made, Toys R Us 3 years ago could have created the national Lego championships, and everybody would be, there was a million, they could have made slime centers. They could be killing it right now with their locations, but no, they choose to just like sell toys out of it, and none of you want to go there. First of all, you're gonna go to Walmart and pick it up for less money anyway, while you pick up your groceries and everything else, and if you even want to leave your home, and you don't, and so you'll go to Amazon and do it that way, or buy it from somebody's YouTube channel link, or Instagram account. It's the best example right now of like how in trouble everybody is if they rest on their laurels. If Toys R Us, the dominant niche retail leader of a humongous multi-billion-dollar category, is finished, what do you think is going to happen over the next 6 years?
Today's rough.
Babin here is all bent out of shape. He just said today is rough. To be very frank with you, Vayner Nation, I don't give a if Tyler or you think today was rough, because I had 17 meetings that he couldn't be a part of, because I'm actually running a business here. I'm not some teenage beanie bopper trying to do a vlog, or some influencer doing a vlog, or some family that's hoping for some free detergent because of their blog. I'm working here, Tyler. So sorry that your video blog is rough. But let me tell you what's not rough. What's not rough is we're living through the great era of ground shift in marketing and business. Everybody in this amazing town of New York City, which is, let me just tell you, everybody who's not here, vibrant at 10 p.m. right now, because 98% of your cities are sleeping. Everybody here is collective pants because the ground is shifting. Everything that our grandparents and parents grew up with, everything that we knew, tried and true, the stable pillars of media, commerce, influence, persuasion, the way we make decisions, the things we buy and how, what is cool and what is not, is on call. The world is on call. And you know what that means? Hustlers, the opportunity is obnoxious. So whether you're focusing on vlogs or influencers or how to hack Instagram stories or how to create Alexa voice skills or how to create your own podcast, because you see I'm full, committed till, if you are not following my podcast, pissed. The way I call today, the sum up of all my meetings today, none of which you just watched, is that the earth is moving. There's instability in the foundation of how it was, which makes an innovator like me really happy. And what suffocates all you B players, because you like it nice, slow, and stable. Let it be very clear with this ending rant, that game is over. And the people that are gonna win over the next 5 to 7 years are gonna be very comfortable in controlled chaos. So you better get your speed up, you better work harder, you better work smarter, you better try things, you better keep your subjectiveness and your ego at the door, because that slows you down and it doesn't make you do. You better move.
Two things I want to do. I want everybody to get out their cell phone, because we are trying to all build our social media presence here and wherever you are. So if you get out your phone and follow Joe Hyde on Instagram and like the Facebook page for PR and Roofing. My question.
Bro, hold on. Did you really think that was a good idea?
Hey, we're here.
No, bro, I honestly think that was one of like the worst moves I've ever seen, because and I'm not trying to razz you. I am talking. I'm trying to give you love. I love the passion to win. The problem is you tried to close on the first move. You brought them no value and you asked them to bring you value. Like you gave, like I will stand up here and give a load of value and never mention one time for any of them to follow me, and a lot more of them will follow me than are gonna follow that bull move that you just did. I get it, but this was back to the question that just happened, and this is why I want you to win. That move is always gonna lose. You can't go, tonight when you go out in Vegas and you see a pretty girl at the bar, you can't go up to her and the opening move is like, here's my key, let's go. But that's what you just did. Let him hold it. But that's what you just did to this audience with business.
Because this is an industry where it's kind of like dog eat dog world. So why are you succeeding and giving all your secrets away at the same time?
I mean, because doing the right thing is the right thing. Karma is practical. You know, I heard somebody rant earlier, right? That's like, hey, when I win, I don't think it's coming out of you. The guy that closed, I couldn't know who was on stage, but I believe in that, right? Because I love the idea of 85 people here going and listening to me, winning. I didn't make anything for it, but it then becomes brand. If she goes out and listens, and then 2 years later, she's having dinner with a friend, and she's talking about what happened to her life, that friend might be the CEO of GE. You know, I'm playing with the biggest brands in the world. I'm not trying to monetize my audience. I'm trying to like just bring the most value in the world and let that lift all my other opportunities. So I think giving away your best secrets is the greatest strategy for 2 reasons. Karma is practical and leads to more business, but here's the secret, and it's even funnier. 99% of these people are not gonna do anything about it. Somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago, I realized this fact. Holy, people aren't gonna do anything with this. Like there's still gonna be plenty for me, and I'm gonna be the most lovable guy ever. I love this. There is ridiculous confusion in the system. I am winning and will win at all-time levels. Get ready, you will tell your grandkids that you once saw me live. Like, I mean that. And by the way, it's not because, by the way, real quick, because I don't want claps for that, I need you to understand how I think about that. It's not because I think I'm fancy or great. I think it's because I'm very calm and simple about one simple, tiny thing. Underpriced attention. It's so grossly underpriced. I'm asking you, let me tell you the story about MTV. When MTV came out in the early to mid 80s, how many people remember when MTV was launched? When MTV was launched, the biggest bands in the world got together for a dinner that one of their managers told me about and decided that they would not make music videos for MTV because that was giving away music for free. That why would we spend money to make a video, put it on MTV, when that's giving people the music for free and they will not go out and buy the record. At the same token, up and coming artists, Madonna, Duran Duran, and on, understood that it was where all the attention of the youth was, and it was a gateway drug to the sale. They understood that MTV was a jab, not the right hook. Facebook and Instagram at this second is the most underpriced scaled jab in the history of marketing, except for one other moment. From 2001 to 2005, Google AdWords was a ridiculously underpriced jab. How many people here took advantage of Google 2001 to 2005? Raise your hands. So for you, you really know. That's how I did it. Wine Library had no money, but when you're buying people who want to buy wine for 5 and 10 cents a click, it works out real fast when it's that underpriced. One company during that time acted the way I'm aspiring to act right now as Gary Vaynerchuk on social media. One company from 2001 to 2005 spent enough to justify how underpriced it was. That company was a small book company called Amazon. Amazon, as you all know now, is the company of our world. It will win everything. It hasn't even begun. Literally, the only thing that will stop Amazon is antitrust government involvement. Otherwise, it will destroy everything. It got its fuel from Google 2001 to 2005. That occurrence is happening right now on Facebook and Instagram, and we're not squeezing the juice out of that fruit anywhere close. At least we have picked up the fruit. People are like, yo, how do I build my self-awareness? How do I build my optimism? How do I change my mindset? It's the people around you. If your best friend is Debbie Downer, you're not gonna be as optimistic as you can be. If the people that from your town that you hang out with have no ambition, you're going absolutely nowhere. If you listen to your dad every day about how the government sucks, you're not gonna love life. You've got to audit your inner circle. Podcast friends, listen to me. Listen very carefully to this mashup and these thoughts, because this underlining tone of who you surround yourself with absolutely fundamentally changes who you are. Period, end of story. When I hung out with Silicon Valley in 2005 to 2010, I was a different dude. When I hang out in the agency land right now, I'm a different dude. When I was in college at Mount Ida, different dude. Like, you're a different person. And I'm telling you right now, this morning podcast, or this podcast, because I know some of you listen to it at late, this podcast, if I can get one of you, one person listening to this, to dump one loser person in their circle and add one, whoever's that smiley, happiest person at work that you don't talk to that much, that's at a cubicle around the way, or that awesome, like that, you know how everybody has, like, you have a friend, but their friend, like, went to college with them, you don't really know them, but like the 3 times you see them a year, they're positive, and like they're doing things. Surround yourself with those people. Seek out your friend's friend who brings positive vibes and make them part of your world, and cut out your homie from college that thinks the world sucks. Watch what that addition and subtraction does to your life.
How do you balance clouds in the dirt, and which do you focus on more and why?
So define to everybody how I define clouds and dirt. Clouds to me is like the why, the strategy, the macro, the big thinking, the big picture, the operating system of like how you do things. And then the dirt is having the humility to go to these meetings, to actually, I post all my Instagram photos, the doing, the humility, ego, humility, strategy, execution, clouds and dirt. The way I balance it is they're both important at all times. I can swing back and forth to them. I can literally go from a meeting where, like the call I had on the way out to our first meeting here today, Piro, was with VaynerMedia's C-suite about a restructuring of how we handle all our business. Super meta. And then I literally hung up and I posted something on Instagram and wrote all the copy as we were walking into our last meeting. To me, I balance them by doing whichever one is needed at the time. And so I don't think about it as balancing it. I think about it as time allocation, like what should I be doing with my time? And I think that, you know, you made a joke of like we did a shoot for a client and we debated on the phone for 10 minutes where the should be located for that. I think that's being in the middle, right? I think pandering to the way companies do things. We just had a meeting where they're like, oh, that was provocative. Us as the Gallery Media Group holds and all the other things we do, us doing what every other publishing company does, is not a good idea. That's the middle. That's not gonna get you to the next place. And so for me, I'm just in the mindset of, you know, either doing humble, dirty work, like the reason I am the best strategist in social media out there, I really believe this, is because I do both. I both sit at the top of a media company that really does it at scale for the biggest companies in the world, but at the same token, there's very few humans that put out 140 pieces of content by hand a week and reads I mean, I literally just replied to Kyle in my comments, and I'm gonna show you because I don't think you guys believe me when I do these rants. I literally just replied to Kyle 1 second before Babin's like, let's do this video. Like literally what I was doing 1 second before then was replying to literally hearted Kyle's comment of, I'm digging the recent pics and quotes, man, right? Like many people watching here would argue that my time at this point in my career of reading Kyle's comment and hearting it in that minute was a bad use of my time. I think the dirt is the reason why I come up with such good clouds. Being in the trenches drives my strategy. I live in reality and practicality, not in thesis or ideology or reading headlines or reading about people doing marketing. So I don't balance it. I just do whatever is needed at that second. You know, it's back to macro, micro speed. I'm just always doing something. Right, Bobby? Like that is the big breakthrough everybody on the team says. Like there's just every second is, and so the reason I can do something every second is, and I don't watch a YouTube video or stand by the water cooler and talk about the Rockets game for 10 minutes, is because I always value the dirt. And so in that half a second that I had right now in the transition of the call that I just had about a macro VaynerX strategy, right? The second transition I had before I started doing a macro thing like the vlog was hearting Kyle's 2 cents on my last Instagram post, clouds and dirt. I know that if I can suffocate all of you today to take 25% of your take-home income this year and pour it back into 2 people who do video and written word and put it into Facebook and Instagram ads, literally all of you will email me 24 months. Actually, if you can start right away, literally 25% of you are going to come to me this time next year, right here, and be like, holy, I've been listening to your stuff for 7 years. Your keynote was different in Miami last year at this time. I listened. I said, I don't need to go to Ibiza 3 times this year. I don't need to buy a better BMW this year to make me feel good with the neighbors. I don't need another pair of Supremes or Yeezys. I took the money and I put it into Karen, the film woman, and Rick, the ad guy, and now my business is 2x. This will 100% work. Even if you suck on camera, have 0 charisma, are only 8 days in the industry, this will work because it is such underpriced attention that the ROI will work. That if you're a 2 in skill, the ads are a 20 in the 10-point scale, and it closes the delta of you being average. If you literally, and I've said this for 7 years, if you literally go interview the guy who owns the gym in town, the guy who owns the pizza shop, the woman that owns the insurance brokerage, if you literally just interview your local community, that you become the local newspaper in 3-minute video form on your phone. You don't even need to hire D-Rock or Babin or Iris. Your phone. If you literally take it, selfie it, and interview the principal of the school in your neighborhood, you will become the local celebrity who can then transact on whatever you're trying to sell that group. If you bring value to people, if you interview the best high school basketball player, literally just that, your business will change. Or if you literally just give the advice of how you got here, what you learned, if you shared your thoughts, if you do not understand that you were a media company, that you will not be as successful as you are today in a decade. And that's not interesting when the alternative is you're 4 to 7 times bigger. Guys, you have to understand what happened to Blockbuster and Netflix, what happened with Uber and taxi companies, what happened with hotels versus Airbnb is happening with you as a human in your business. And so when you have the best hand and you know it because you've been paying attention and you know how to play poker, you go all in. Everybody here is playing Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube, podcasting like they have the best hand and they're calling. And you're not goading them into getting all the money. You're just folding. And that's this audience. So can you imagine what I feel is going on outside this stadium? So this is a call to action for everybody to do me one favor, and I do think I can get a lot of you to do it, which excites the of me. Please, right now, listen, maybe you've laid out money, maybe you're in the middle of a renovation, maybe you're paying for your kids' college, mazel tov. I know there's nuances on everybody's life. But if you are in a position where literally your take-home income this year is literally the stuff you're gonna go and do things with, please, from 25% to 90% if you can go humble, please take that money and hire 2 people to make a lot more content for you about you and your business. And please give the rest of the money to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And I fundamentally promise you, you will walk here to this conference next year and personally thank me emotionally because your business will change. And I know not one of you has gone all in. I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union. I came to the US when I was 3. We lived a very humble beginning. As you can imagine, the economy wasn't super great. We didn't speak English. We had $100. I lived with 7 family members in a studio apartment in Queens. So it was super humble and obviously my parents are very much my heroes. 1, because my mom is the greatest parent of all time, and 2, because my dad worked his face off, and even though I slept under the same roof literally every day of my life with my dad in the first 14 years of my life, I literally never saw him because he left at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. and he came home at 10 p.m. and he worked 7 days a week. How many people here are immigrants or children of immigrants? Raise your hands. Awesome. So this group that just raised their hands, they know that immigrants in America have absolutely figured out one of the core secrets, which is, work your face off and don't buy dumb. And so that's kind of what my family did for 7 or 8 years. My dad wasn't making that much money, but a funny thing happens when you buy nothing but food at the lowest possible price. And save. And very quickly, only 6 years after coming to America with $100, my dad was able to buy a small liquor store in New Jersey. We moved to New Jersey. That is where my entrepreneurial career began. When I was 6, I had a 5 lemonade stand franchise. I manipulated my friends into standing behind the lemonade all day. And that is when I became obsessed with attention. And this is really interesting. As you can see up here, I day trade attention, culture, and build businesses. At 6 years old, I would spend my summer days literally walking up and down the streets of New Jersey sitting down on the curb, watching cars drive by so that I could figure out which tree or post was better for me to put a sign that said lemonade a quarter. That is DNA. That's like somebody singing, that's like somebody throwing a pitch really, like that is just pure DNA. I didn't read a Seth Godin book or go to Harvard Business School to figure out that attention was the #1 asset. The one thing that combines every person here, from the cameramen back there who are producing, to the industry that is in this room, to me, to Mickey, to anybody else that's sneaked in, the one thing that fundamentally connects all of us is before you tell me how great your product and service is, you need my attention so that I listen. I am obsessed with attention. I am obsessed with this device because it has the attention. I am unemotional if it's ruining the kids and they don't know how to engage, or that you are sad that people go out to dinner and don't talk to each other. Technology does not care about your feelings. And so I, as a human, may have some opinions about parenthood and society and privacy as a human, but as a businessman, I am unemotional and not romantic. All I do is follow where the attention is, and I figure out how to storytell in there to create the action that I desire.
A lot of your advice is geared to like college grads.
Yep.
But I'm old. I'm 40. What would your advice be for someone who's 40 but starting out where most of your audience is starting out when they're 20 or 30?
Well, it's interesting. No joke. I don't know if you saw this. I literally posted a video today to 47-year-olds.
I did not see that yet.
So, to me, everybody's going through different things. You know, to your point, in the last 12 to 18 months, I found myself producing a lot more content to youth than I have in the past, which was usually to more 40-year-old business people. Look, I think the biggest thing with 40 to 50 is that it's now you've lived life and you're still young as and you're like, now what, right? You have like an entire second life to live, and it's a very interesting time in people's lives where they have to be really retrospective of like, how self-aware are they? But honestly, I think 40 is young, man. I really, really do. And so I would say a lot of the advice I give to 20-year-olds maps pretty well to 40-year-olds, which is, you know, take some risks. You've tasted some stuff. You know, happiness is the ROI. And so, you know, figure out what makes you happy. Is it the pursuit of money, or is it actual money? Do materials make you happy? If materials make you happy, is that really just insecurity and you need to have, you know, a BMW to make yourself feel good? Like, what's making you tick? But I would say the biggest thing that I would tell any 40-year-old is, you've got 50 years to live. Please get the I'm finished or like eliminate dwelling because you're just starting. I really believe that, by the way. This is not some motivational rah-rah. I just think it's true. I just think you've got 40 adult years to live. That's 20 more than you've lived. There's just so much opportunity. The biggest vulnerability everybody has here is they're worried about somebody else's judgment. The reason there's no moment of clarity is you don't want to jump. You don't want to jump because you're worried if you lose what people are going to say, starting with your parents, your friends, your contemporaries. My ability to not truly, truly care about other people's opinions has been the foundation of my happiness. I respect people's opinions. I just don't care about their judgment of me. I have flip-flopped about project management at VaynerMedia like so many times, and I don't worry if somebody hears like, make a decision, or like, you're stupid, or why are we always changing? Like, go work at Gray Advertising. How much time do you spend on marketing? You said those 4 things. How much time do you actually spend on it? In a day? 0 sometimes, I assume?
Yeah, sometimes.
In a week, how much do you spend on it?
2 hours.
2 hours, great. Now is the most important part of this meeting. How many hours do you sleep at night?
I have to have 7.
Great. So I love the way you said it. I have to have 7. So if I wanted to say go to 6 so that you pick up 5, you're gonna say to me, Gary, I have to have 7, right? Now let's go somewhere else. I have to know what you're doing the other 17 hours. I would bet the house that we can find an hour every day. I guarantee it. Because you might be working all 17 hours, but you might not be working on something smarter than spending an hour a day on the thing that you're talking about. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's the answer. The answer is time You know, people talk about working hard and working smart. The answer is only both. You have to work hard and smart based on your ambition. If you want to build a business for yourself, that is like a 1% life. Most people don't understand what building a business for yourself is. It's very special. It's very special. Trying to build a business for yourself, everybody's doing now. Pulling it off, trying to play basketball, everybody can try. Being an NBA player, trying to be a rapper or a singer, everybody's doing. Pulling it off, trying to be a footballer, an actress. Got it? So you're trying, great. Pulling it off is hard. It takes everything. Time and smarts. You need 7. I'm glad you said it that way because this makes this piece of content more valuable. It's the 17 other hours. I'll give you an example. A lot of people drive to work for 45 minutes. If they took a bus for an hour and 15 minutes, they would save money and get more work done. But do you have the humility to take the bus versus driving your car? You need to ask yourself tonight why it's more interesting to dwell and complain and come up with excuses than actually be happy. I'll save you time. Your mom. So, cool, right? Or your dad, or your older brother, or some circumstance. Here's my big thing. I'm looking around, and even for the geezers in here, you're all living for another 50 years, minimum. There's people in here, right? I mean, dude, I know, you're like awesome, right? Because when you were kids, you're like 60, now, right? Now, but you know what's crazy? Now, it is nuts. Like, how many people here are under 30? All of you outside of like, at scale, almost all of you get to 100, 110 easy. That's nuts. You're freaking out, you turn 30 and you are living for another 90 years. You're like, I don't have my together. I'm like, you haven't even started. There is no one path. The only path is like, do you know yourself? And more importantly, that voice inside your own head, a lot of times people don't understand that was put in your head. A lot of people, when I'm like, don't listen to anybody but yourself, I'll get that DM. They'll be like, yo, I love that. My problem is I'm telling myself I suck. And then I have to DM like, yo, you didn't. Like, that isn't you. That's your mom or dad that put that in your head. And now you believe it and you think it's your own voice. Nobody starts off thinking they suck. Here's the problem. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm trying to make you happy and win. Most of the people listening right now don't have the talent. I know you. That's the truth, and that's okay. And that is okay. That's okay. And by the way, some of the cats in this room probably, when you guys were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, might have thought you wanted to be the artist. Yeah. But you
wanted to be a singer, but I can't sing.
And there it is.
Rap, I want to sing, I want to dance.
Right? And what I would say is, kudos to you to be like, yeah, look, that you understood that what you weren't going to be, well, you know, Queen Latifah. So you had to. That's it. You know what I love? I love perspective. If you're listening to this right now, it means you have the ability to listen to this right now, which means you live in America. It means that you have some sort of device that allows you to listen to this. I just don't think people understand how lucky they have it, no matter how they think they have it. Dudes that were trying to kill it didn't use words like empathy and gratitude 7 years ago. Like seeing like sleeved up, like rad dudes roll up to me like, yo, kindness, dog. I'm like, it's just so, and honestly, I genuinely believe my great legacy potentially may be that I made emotionally intelligent, soft skills alpha. You know, you'll never believe this is super interesting to me. The fact that pink was a boy's color and blue was a girl's color back in the day is kind of how I think about gratitude, empathy, kindness. I'm like, I'm gonna trick these young dogs into like thinking this is cool. And then one day in 50 years, people are gonna be like, the alpha male traits are like gratitude and kindness. And if I could pull that off, then it's like, my friends, this is a remarkably special time, and I'm completely convinced the far majority, and I mean 99% of this room, is going to regret it. I'm completely convinced about it. It's not fun for me to say that, but it's very obvious to me that humans take for granted and are really bad at perspective and timing. The reason I push patience, how many people here are under 30? Raise your hands. Stand up if you're under 30. Let's first of all clap it up for all the youngsters in the room. Keep standing. You're young, you're not tired yet. If you're standing right now, you really have, let's get into perspective and actual understanding. If you're standing right now, with the way that modern medicine is actually evolving, there is a very high percentage that you're gonna live 3 more lives that you've already lived, if not 5. Do you understand why I struggle when people give up on a year or 2 in, or are upset that they haven't gotten there yet 3 years in, when you faces are about to live 4 more lives? I'm being serious. You're literally gonna live 4 more lives, 5 more, from the day you were born that you cannot remember to right this second, you're about to do that 3 to 4 more times. You can sit. Literally, your biggest advantage is timing. For all the great things that I have in my life, I would literally give it up, all of it, just to be 25. I would give up for 17 years, I'd give up everything I have, because that's how valuable time is. And the far majority of this room has time as their asset, and every day, the number one asset they have, time, they give away by being impatient, mainly on the back of listening to society or their parents that they have to have their figured out at this age. The fact that people actually think at 18, 22, or 30, you have to have your figured out is ridiculous. Let me promise you, all those parents and uncles and grandparents that push down your throat that you have to figure it out by now, they still haven't figured it out. I mean it. So this nonsense that you have to have it figured out at 18, 22, 30. You know how many people freak the out at 30? How many people are 30 right now? That's crazy, right? People lose their at 30. Meanwhile, they're a kid. And so I'm unbelievably aware lately that one of the, people are always like, why do you win? And I talk about my parents and not coming from anything. But the more that I live, I'm like, the reason I really win is because I understand time. And listen, I know I can get hit by a bus or get terminally ill. I get it. Here's the problem. That's far more unlikely for the majority of us. The math works in your favor, and we are stunningly not patient. Patience has been the foundation of my success. Patience, adversity, these are the foundations of my success. The other thing I'm a very big believer in is getting people to not feel like it's a scarlet letter if they lose. Something nobody talks about at all is your scenario. You jump, it fails, you reset and go back and get a job in the craft that you had because of your resume, and you restart in 4 years from now. America's pretty good at looking at losses in a positive way compared to other parts of the world where it's like a true scarlet letter, death forever. But still, even here, people don't know when to go back from their jump because they don't want the loss on the resume. They made the big to-do that you're gonna do it. Now it doesn't work, and what they do is they triple down into debt to look good in front of people.
But what if it did and you never jumped to find out?
Oh, you're preaching. That I want. You've already done that. I'm actually talking about the next part, which is having the options to know that the game is super long, and that if the business, when you go from ice cold, when you go from never having a business to having a business, that's like literally I'm asking you to right now qualify for Wimbledon in tennis. It's a lot harder than people think. You're grown, you two are grown. I'm not trying to suppress, by the way. I'm talking about the practicality of options. I love that we live in a world, I'm trying to get people to really understand how to win this. So much of my success is completely predicated on not worrying about all my losses, which means at times, my great losses are the things I passed on. Maybe I should have done Shark Tank. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't think I should have done it. Not this late in. I think I'll do my own thing. Like, you know, like, but fuck, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I didn't invest in Uber when I could have made $400 million. I mean, that's a loss.
A lot of people that follow you, or a lot of business people, they start as freelancers in any field, whether it's writer, filmmaker, whatever. They start as a freelancer, usually with a part-time, full-time job. Then, at what point, if the business is going okay or okay-ish, should they either stay a freelancer or become a freelancer with a micro freelancing team, or get full-timers and open businesses?
The answer is depending on your situation. If you're 21 and you have no expenses and you're living at home, you have to go high risk. As soon as you see any blood in the water, you go. If I'm 21 and I'm at home and I have no expenses and I'm making 47,000 euros, pounds, dollars, doing something I don't love, but I want to be a film person, and the first person pays me $1,500 or $1 forever, and it works, and it went well, and she, the boss of this candy store, says, I'm going to tell all my friends about you, I may jump right away. I don't have any concerns. If I'm 42 years old and I have 3 kids and a mortgage and I'm $100,000 in debt because I went to college in America and it didn't get me a good job, and I'm an accountant and I make $137,000 a year, which basically pays for my overhead, roughly, because I bought a house bigger than I needed, I bought a car bigger than I needed. This is cliche American. And somebody pays me $1,500 and they're like, I'm gonna tell all my friends, I'm gonna give up Netflix and my video games and my weekends to eventually get that to 60 or 70 or 80 or 90,000 a year before I say, okay, now I'm at 90, 137. If I actually went all in, I can close the gap on that 57,000. Now I'm gonna make the jump because I have 3 kids, a mortgage and debt. Every piece of my advice is circumstantial. What makes me vulnerable in producing pieces of content on the internet is it lacks context for every individual. The reason I produce so much content is the reason a piece of content may hit somebody different this time, next time, is because even the same person's life changes.
Yeah, true.
Yesterday, Aaron is 25 and single and living at home. Tomorrow, he meets Sheila, falls in love, and you know, a million things could happen. Sheila could be making $1 million a year. Different life.
True.
Sheila could be making no money, but he loves her so much and she wants to buy handbags every day and now he has a bigger, you know, financial problem. Sheila wants to be his partner. Sheila, like, he wants to buy handbags. It's not cliche, it's life, it's contextual. And that's why the answer to your question is a million things. But you jump when you can afford to drown. You jump when you can afford to drown. What I mean by that is when you jump into the pool, you have to know that you've never swam before and you might drown. And you have to be able to do that when you can. And at 21, living at home, you can. Because you can go back and get a job, you have no overhead, right? But at 43 with 3 kids, you might not want to. And by the way, or you might. You might have such a supportive spouse. Sheila, Aaron's the stay-home dad. Sheila's making the 147. Sheila talks to Aaron and says, Aaron, I'm gonna die if I don't jump. I'm 43, and if I don't jump now, I'm gonna be 62 and regret it my whole life. So I'm gonna jump, and if I fail and the economy collapses and I can't get a job, we may have to sell this home. We may have to move in with our parents in Florida. But I have to do that and take the loss in front of everybody's eyes that we're losers and we because I know myself and I know if I don't jump now, I'm gonna be miserable for 40 years that I was an accountant for my whole life. In 1996, my dad had a liquor store in New Jersey. That's as traditional as you get. That was 22 years ago. And I put my dad's store online and I did email marketing and I did Google and I did content, and then a couple months after YouTube came out, I started a YouTube show in 2006, which is now 12 years ago. I have no respect and normally I deploy a lot of empathy. I struggle deploying empathy. I struggle deploying compassion. If you were a business operator in 2018, heading, by the time we're recording this in October, 2019, which is when the majority of people are gonna listen to this, and your excuse is, well, I'm a pub, or I make tomato juice, or I have 3 restaurants. Like, digital is oxygen. It's the real world feels secondary. Like, to not be a communicator, content producer, part of the conversation, like, it's now, it's gone from cute and naive to grossly negligent.
Yeah.
And I just think it's unacceptable to be a business in 2019 in the same way that it would be to pay people not minimum wage. Like I literally believe it's grossly unacceptable. Like to me, it's like to quantify digital versus traditional, it's just marketing. Like really, you think sending direct mail print is a better thing to do than advertising on Instagram as a restaurant? Like really sit down with me. You're telling me right now that it's a better deal to spend all that money making a flyer and sending it direct mail, or running a radio ad, or buying a small little ad in a newspaper. Like this is what you're telling me. It is 2019.
Yeah.
I felt bad in 2002. It was early. The internet was new. I had compassion. It was cute. In 2007, it was like, it was kind of like, hey, annoying, kind of like, but still kind of. In 2012, it's like, you're not smart. In 2019, like, you deserve to die. I love when people are like, Gary V, like the comments are just so fun. Gary V, like, you suck, bro. You repeat the same. I'm like, cause it's right, face. The reason I keep repeating it, the reason I believe in it is because I know for so many of you, even though you've seen it 87 times, this moment in real life at this time might be the time it happens. That's how it actually works. This is a game of perspective. Either you understand what's happening or not. Do you know how many people have defaulted into thinking this is a terrible time? My friends, this is the greatest time to be a human being in the history of Earth. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. This is like math. This is not my opinion. This is what's going on with genocide and health, life expectancy. Like, this is the best. Like, for all the we have with racism and sexism and a lot of terror, we got plenty of. Meanwhile, they had the Black Plague. Meanwhile, they had World War II. Meanwhile, they had real. And we sit around and complain about the dumbest in the world. People complain about like getting the wrong milk in their coffee from a barista. Or that your Wi-Fi is a little slower than normal. Like you're upset. You can feel the speed is a little lower. Or you got a few less likes than you're usually getting on a post. Like the stuff that we actually spend time on is fascinating. To me, it is a complete and utter lack of perspective. I was a super entrepreneurial kid. You know, it's very rare for somebody growing up in the 80s who's an immigrant to not be blindly bought into education is the way out. Miraculously, I have such a great mother who saw a 4, 5, 6, young, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid basically spend all his time on business. Lemonade. You know, I was a 4-season executive. You know, in the fall, I'm raking leaves. In the winter, I'm shoveling snow and singing Christmas carols at your door. I mean, I don't talk about that a lot. I literally rang people's doors and be like, will you pay us $1 to sing Jingle Bells, me and my crew? I mean, it was ludicrous.
And you're Jewish, right?
And I'm Jewish. I mean, it was like, talk about, I'm entrepreneur first. You know, in the spring, it was like I remember we did a miniature golf course. We did mini flea markets. It was a garage sale. In the summer, it was hardcore washing cars and lemonade. I was so passionate. And then very quickly, for a lot of people watching, they'll probably remember this, in the late 80s, early 90s, the baseball card phenomenon in America happened. And I was at the forefront. Not only was I collecting, but as a 12-year-old, I'm in hotels, in malls, in convention centers, set up as a dealer with other 30, 40, 50-year-old men. And really cut my teeth there. And then my 14th birthday came, and for whatever reason, I guess that's grown up in Russia land. My dad, at this point, in parallel, was also an entrepreneur, a more significant one, saved up all his money as a stock boy and then manager of a liquor store, which is the job he got in America, and bought a liquor store and dragged me into that liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey when I was 14. And so from 8th grade on, I worked. One of the things I saw a lot in my comments, because I read them all, was, well, I have no money. I'm like, I lived my whole life with no money, but I figured it out. I would buy garage sales. And it just got me going. I love it. It's like a hobby of mine to go garage sale.
I started doing that with clothes. I used to do that with clothes.
Dude, guys, especially like a stylish kid like you, like if you have flavor, if you're listening right now and you don't have money, but you're cool or you got flavor, you got swag, you got style, if you just spend your life in Goodwill and in thrift stores and buy that you think is fresh and then wear it and take a selfie and put it on eBay for 3 times the price, or like I see every day, the amount of people that buy $3 t-shirts and sell them for $35 on eBay and Etsy and Facebook Marketplace is enormous. There's no excuse in America to say you have no money, even if you're in the deepest, poorest places, because if you can literally get $1, you can buy your first t-shirt at Goodwill and get it up for $15 on Facebook. Because you know what's funny? What's funny is everybody's got a smartphone. Like you go into the poorest places in America and everybody's got a smartphone, which means you have the internet. I mean, listen, the homeless, you've got people all over on homeless smartphones. I get emails every day. I'm homeless. I watch you on YouTube. People are like, Gary, I DM'd all the influencers like you told me. Nobody responded. I'm like, how many? They're like 130. I'm like, good. There's about 9 million more.
And you just say, will you help me?
No, because that's not the way to position it, right? Because most people won't answer that because somebody who's got an audience, that's all they see.
Right.
I would say, how can I help you?
That was my question.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Like, yo, I with you. Like, how can I help you?
But then, like, if you don't have any leverage, like,
yes, you do. You have your time. You never know. D-Rock didn't have any leverage. D-Rock asked me 4 times, and then finally I said, yeah, fine, make me a video. I'm not even in that mindset, and then this all happened because of it. That's real. Wow. That's real. That's the story. Damn. That's the story. He asked me 4 times, I want to make a video for you. He was a video guy. I wasn't making content like that then. But it was in my mind. And by the 4th time, I was like, you know what? Okay, make me a free video, show me. Here we are. Now he's the word that people use, like people literally say, literally a verb. Literally, people are like, my D-Rock's name is Rick. I'm like, you know D-Rock's a name. You know what I mean? It's real. And you know what? I said this at the time to D-Rock. I said, you're gonna impact people. Like, do you know how awesome it is for people that love to do it? You know how many people wanted to make documentaries their whole lives, yet only 74 people a year get to do them, and now 74,000 people a year get to do it? All it takes is one person.
So with real estate, following this gentleman, pretty much personal branding.
Yes.
Is what my introduction is going to be.
Okay.
Question is, since we're so small, how soon does that get played out? People are like, don't want to listen to him anymore.
Well, if you talk, my big thing is just talk about your singular truth and your uniqueness. People may follow you just for your ranching tips, or because your tire on your truck you need to change and you videoed it. I mean, people think people are like, I'm not interesting, and I'm like, people are interesting. If you weren't interesting, we wouldn't have traffic. Rubbernecking is completely based on, you know what a yenta is? It's not necessarily a good, it's more of a Israeli word necessarily but like people are interested in other people. So you don't have a whole lot to say about like expertise, like somebody who's been in the business for 27 years, that's her advantage, right? But for now, your advantage is the documentation of trying to make it your side hustle. Like if you live streamed your entire, somebody in here is gonna live stream an entire open house where nobody shows up, right? And right? And then one of those at the right time is gonna go viral as somebody who's persevering through adversity. Chewbacca mom happens a lot. You just have to put yourself in a position, somebody decided to post a photo of an egg. You understand? You understand? Like everybody's saying no. You are all saying no for the audience. I never say no. If I would have said no for you, I wouldn't have made a cartoon photo post and realized you guys want cartoon photo posts for me too. Those comic posts I started posting in January are outperforming my standard content. So what do? You just post all sorts of shave your beard, good content. I mean it. Like, and you live in a part of the world that New Yorkers don't get this. Like you just never know. But everybody says no, and I always say yes. That is literally the binary difference. And I'm willing to deal with when it's a no, because I don't care about the judgment.
You like reading the comments?
Love.
You do it on every video, every post?
All day.
How do you deal with the negativity? Someone talking about biting your nails.
Empathetic. Empathy. Somebody just watched 49 seconds of me spitting some pontification on Instagram, and they've decided to make a judgment on me. And I respect that. I put myself out there. They don't know everything about me. So when they drag me down, be like, this guy's an idiot who's full of shit, I'm like, that makes sense. They saw me in the Explore feature. They're like, who's this face? They watch it. They don't like it. And they decide and they're not in a good place. So they have to drag down. I deploy empathy first. Sucks to be, I would never do that as a happy person to anybody else. So A, I'm already feel bad.
Yeah.
And B, who the fuck am I? They only got 49 seconds. And in 49 seconds at a time, I could suck in perpetuity. You know, like at 49 seconds at a time, I could be all-time terrible, especially me that gets hot and competitive and like, you know, like this is how I am when the lights come on. So I deal with the negativity with empathy to the person that's leaving the comment. A, for the fact that I feel bad because they're in a bad place that they decided to put more hate into the system. And B, like they shouldn't do 7 hours of research of my career or who I am as a human being. I would be upset if you thought I was because you've had enough interactions at this point to have a read.
Yeah.
So you talk patience too, right? That people should be patient in the pursuit of their goals. At what point does patience just become delusion?
A lot of times.
Oh, so what are the hacks or the tips that for them to be self-aware to know when to just, when is patience just run its course?
If you've been doing the same thing for 7 years and nothing good has happened, you're delusional. Let's start there. That's a test. I believe in that. If there's been no progress in your rap career or in your art or your video blog, and you've been doing it every day for 7 years, as hard as you can, and nothing has happened, the market has spoken. That's one way. Now, is that 4 years? Is that 2 years? Do people jump off? Like, you need to see some level of progress to keep you having blood in the water to get you going. But sometimes there is a breakthrough, because if the machine is in between you and the market, well, then you gotta be discovered. But the reason now I think it's more pure is because SoundCloud and Spotify and YouTube and Shopify and Amazon, now you get the feedback loop so fast, and it isn't the arbitrary subjective call of, the reason it took some of the greatest stars of all time 11 years to break through is because other people had say. People didn't see Gaga's talent. They thought she was weird. Somebody thought she wasn't weird. She breaks out. But Lady Gaga today, she goes on YouTube and Spotify direct, and the market speaks quicker. People are more famous quicker now if they have the talent, because nobody's in the middle. This is why I talk in general terms on content, of course, because I don't have the context. But if somebody sat here and I listened for 40 minutes, I would tell them if they're delusional or just impatient. And most people are impatient and delusional. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want to see the last one-on-one I did with Gary Vaynerchuk, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I'm talking about something that the world thinks is a contradiction. I don't understand why anybody should ever verbally dress down an employee